Hello, welcome to the Security Update. It's with me, Hamse Daabjeerin. In this program, we will be covering for you the latest stories that matter in security in the Horn and East Africa countries. Ahead on the program, hundreds of protesters gathered in Hargeisa against French president. New report reveals Al-Shabaab collects more revenue than government. Somalia Prime Minister advises security agencies to win public heart. Tanzania opposition rejects presidential result. Rwanda Paris remains of nearly 85,000 genocide victims. Welcome to the program. Demonstrations are growing across Somali-speaking regions against the French President Emmanuel Macron over his attitude to Islam. Hundreds of protesters have gathered on Thursday in the capital of Somaliland, Hargeisa. They said that they will not allow French products to be imported in Somaliland. In Somaliland's capital, Hargeisa, about hundreds of people have involved in demonstration against the French President Emmanuel Macron and his attacks on Islam and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The protesters have burned French flag and photos of Macron while they are chanting "Down to France" and "Long life Islam." Some of the demonstrators who spoke to the media have urged the government to stop importing French products in the country. The French debate on Islam was deepened after the beheading of a teacher who had shown caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad, previously published by a satirical magazine. In a class on freedom of expression, Muslims believe that any depiction of the Prophet is blasphemous. The French president has strongly defended the publication, pledged Islam separatists, and said his country will not give up cartoons. He also described Islam as religion in crisis worldwide and vowed to present a bill in December to strengthen a law that officially separated church and state in France. We are still in Somaliland. Protesters against the French President Emmanuel Macron are spreading across Islamic countries. A big number of protesters have gathered on Tuesday in Pruha, Somaliland, to express their displeasure of Macron's attitude to Islam.
Protesters dragged the French flag through the streets before setting it on fire, urging Muslims around the world to unite on a boycott of French product. Demonstrations have been taking place in several countries after Macron refused to condemn the caricatures on several occasions. The issue has once again come to light following the killing of a Paris school teacher who was beheaded by a radical Islamist last week after showing the cartoons of Prophet Muhammad to his class. Muslim politicians, religious scholars and everyday people have condemned such depictions as a form of hate speech and view them as sacrilegious and insulting to Islam.
We are protesting against the French president who insulted our Prophet Muhammad. And we are marching from KM4 to Said Road and back to KM4 and burning the French flag.
One protester in Mogadishu accused the French president of trying to defame our prophet and warned that Macron and the French people will not be able to win in your battle. You will fail. Another argued that Macron must be punished.
A new report says using intimidation and violence, Al-Shabaab raises as much revenue as the country's authorities. The report describes as brutal the way the group extracts money from the rural population. According to a new report revealed by Hirari Institute, the militants collect at least $15 million a month, with more than half the amount coming from the capital Mogadishu. Some persons pay both the Al-Shabaab and the federal government of Somalia. The report describes as brutal the way the group extracts money from the rural population. It says fear and a credible threat to their lives is the only motivation that drives Al-Shabaab taxpayers. According to the Hirali Institute, unlike the Somali government, Al-Shabaab is running a major financial surplus as the amount of money it collects increases yearly. All major companies in Somalia give the jihadists money, both in the form of monthly payments and a yearly zakat of 2.5% of the annual profits, says the report, which is based on interviews with Al-Shabaab members, Somali business people, government officials, and others. The seaport in Mogadishu is a major source of revenue for the Somali government. However, imports are also taxed by the Al-Shabaab, who get the cargo ships manifestos from port officials. The report added that many government employees give a part of their salaries to Al-Shabaab in the hope that the group will leave them alone, despite considering them legitimate targets. The group controls much of southern and central Somalia, but has been able to extend its influence into areas controlled by the government based in Mogadishu. The United States strongly backed efforts to disrupt the illegal financing methods used by the Somalia's Al-Shabaab extremist group, which according to UN experts raised more than $21 million it spent last year on fighters, weapons and intelligence. U.S. Ambassador Kelly Craft told the Security Council the Trump administration is committed to partnering with other countries and using UN sanctions to counter Al-Shabaab's financing of terrorism and the threat from homemade bombs the group is making. The United States also remains focused on limiting the ability of Al-Shabaab to conduct attacks against civilians, she said. The Security Council was focusing on the panel of experts whose latest report stresses the continuing impact of Al-Shabaab's operations not only in Somalia, but in neighboring Kenya. Al-Shabaab remains the most active and resilient extremist group in Africa, controlling parts of southern and central Somalia and often targeting checkpoints and other high-profile areas in the capital Mogadishu. It has fired several mortars this year at heavily defended international airport, where the U.S. Embassy and other missions are located. Experts stress that military operations against Al-Shabaab must be accompanied by non-military efforts to degrade the group's capacity and combat its propaganda. Its investigation found that Al-Shabaab generated approximately $13 million in these 4 case studies alone. It assessed that the group remains in a strong financial position and is generating a significant budgetary surplus, some of which is invested in property purchases and businesses in Mogadishu. Tanzania's President John Magufuli was declared the overwhelming winner of the elections by the National Electoral Commission on Friday, is backing the backlash by the opposition who allege fraud. Magafuli's victory means he will run for a second term and the ruling party CCM, which has been in power for decades, won enough seats in parliament to change the constitution. Some in the ruling party had called for the president's 2-term limit to be extended if enough parliament seats could be secured. The electoral party said Magufuli won 84% of the vote, while his main rival Tundu Lissu of the Chadema opposition party received 13%. Lissu has rejected the result and called for peaceful protests and action. The victims were found in mass graves underneath residential homes in the outskirts of the Rwandan capital Kigali. Family members were able to identify their loved ones by their teeth, clothing and other remains. But we will be back more after the short break.
Hello out there. Tune in to CBA TV, the voice of East Africa and beyond. There's so many people around the world who are watching along with you.
Welcome to QETC Qalam Educational and Technical Center.
I am Ahmed Mohamed Ahmed. I am a student of Qalam Educational and Technical Center.
Qalam Educational and Technical Center is a place that you can improve your English language.
I came with zero English. Now I'm better.
Come to Qalam Educational and Technical Center. This will help you to improve your English, your listening, your speaking, your writing and reading.
If you want to speak confidently without fearing, come and join Qalam and learn how to speak in front of thousand people without fear.
Welcome to CBA News Bulletin. I am Hamse Daabjeerin.
You are watching CBA TV. I am Wangoingoge from Hargeisa. Thank you for keeping it CBA TV. Reaching out to our global viewers through digital and television platforms from our two major broadcast centers and exclusive reporting from East Africa and beyond.
From the studio of CBA TV, the voice of East Africa and beyond, my name is Ajara Ahmed Tijani.
Join us in engaging talk shows and programs on a wide range of issues.
I'm Abdullahi Hassan. Welcome to Unscripted.
Welcome to Associate, proudly brought to you by CBA TV.
Welcome to Artflex on CBA TV. This is Mutiu Olawi.
I welcome you to your show, our show, CBA TV News Review.
Our digital platforms engage users everywhere. We inform, educate, and entertain. We are CBA TV, the voice of East Africa.
Welcome again to the program. The victims were found in mass graves underneath and residential homes in the outskirts of the Rwandan capital, Kigali. Family members were able to identify their loved ones by their teeth, clothing, and other remains.
Genocide survivors, including those who found the bodies of their loved ones, have noted that giving them a decent burial has helped them deal with the sorrow of losing them, but also asked that people who withhold information pertaining to the location of such bodies be held accountable in a court of law. The 150 bodies were found in Nyarugenge district, and it was discovered that the family that owns the compound where they were hidden was even paying someone not to reveal the secret, which ultimately came to light after a quarrel over the money broke out. Speakers at the ceremony to give the bodies a decent burial noted that evidence shows that the genocide against Tutsis was prepared over a long period of time, which is why efforts to fight genocidal ideologies must also continue, with youth today taught the importance of fighting such ideologies. Many young people, including Bizimana, who was 38 years old in 1994, like I told you, were very young when the Hutu Manifesto was published in 1957. He was just a 1-year-old. He grew up being taught that hate, and it led him to killings of this magnitude. He himself has admitted as such. We should therefore continue teaching our young people about what happened that is part of history, and also emphasize the importance of fighting genocidal ideologies. Government officials present who addressed those gathered, like the Minister of Local Government, Professor Anastas Shaka, urged people to provide information about the locations of the bodies of genocide victims, pointing out that not doing so is a sign of a person harboring genocidal ideologies, and also promised continued support for genocide survivors and the challenges they face. The Minister of Justice, who is also the country's Attorney General, Johnston Busingye, warned those who continue to withhold information necessary to locate the bodies of genocide victims so that they can be given a decent burial, saying when they are discovered, they will have to explain themselves before a judge. The Genocide Survivors Umbrella Organization, IBUCA, has noted that there are even those who have given misleading information on purpose when efforts to uncover bodies were underway, and they have since been prosecuted for their actions, which has helped to establish clear-cut channels on how such information is to be provided to avoid such occurrences in the future.
The Somalia Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble, who paid an overnight tour to main security checkpoints in Mogadishu, has advised the security agencies to strengthen the security of the country. Somalia Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble, who paid an overnight tour to main security checkpoints in Mogadishu, has directed the security forces to collaborate with the public to strengthen the security of the country and win the public heart. The Prime Minister was accompanied by other senior government officials who visited more than 10 checkpoints in the seaside city. During his inspection, the Prime Minister was briefed by the security heads and interacted with young people socializing in business centers and discussed them about key challenges. Speaking at the meeting with security forces in Mogadishu last night, Roble said the security could be only improved after security cooperated with the public. Somalia security agencies have beefed up security across the capital to avert attacks from Al-Shabaab ahead of the country's elections, which are expected to take place later this year. The United Nations has confirmed the death of 2 of its workers, adding to that the 2 staff were killed in a militant attack in Mogadishu, though no group has yet officially claimed the responsibility of the attack. The United Nations Children's Fund confirmed that 2 frontline workers were killed in a militant attack in Mogadishu. UN said the polio workers risked their lives to provide critical health services to vulnerable Somali children and offered condolences to their families. UNICEF said it is shocked by the attack in Mogadishu, in which 2 humanitarian workers tragically lost their lives, and attacks on health workers are a violation of international law and must not be tolerated. UNICEF warns humanitarian workers should never be a target. Somalia is among high-risk polio outbreak countries because of its fragile and vulnerable population that mostly includes nomads, displaced people, and those living in rural and slum areas. No group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack, but Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility in the past for similar attacks in the Horn of Africa country. According to reports, armed militia on pikes and Somali soldiers collided at Dabka Junction in Mogadishu. At least 3 people have been confirmed dead. However, no accurate report of who victims are, if they are combatants or civilians walking by the road when the military clash is happening. The injured one is confirmed to be a member of the gunman on a motorbike who attacked the soldiers. The junction is always busy with vehicles and pedestrians which emptied out by the clash, but it returned to normal. Military men paced nearby the junction and said there is intelligence around it because the junction leads to the presidency of Somalia. Somali capital hardly sees a day without suicide pumping since Al-Shabaab forces joined the political scene. Many residents get used to gunfire and loud explosions that happen day in and day out. Security forces backed by foreign peacekeepers failed to crush the militants. And with that story of the armed militia on pikes and the Somali soldiers collided at Dabka Junction in Mogadishu, where at least 3 people have been confirmed dead, we'll wrap up our program for this time. Thank you very much for being with us. My name is Hamse Daabjeerin.